So we're going to go a little deeper. The difference of the raw materials. To create medicine, they have to be created differently than the standard vitamins on the shelf. Medicine has a certain standard. Here's a chart just to give you some perspective on the differences that we do. Take, for instance, the next page we'll go into what some of these, why we replace these. But we use, for the first line, we use the methylated folate. That's $4,000 a kilo, opposed to $75 for the standard folic acid. But the thing is that the average 40% of the people have a gene mutation to folic acid. And the pathway that it takes from that form to be delivered to the cells cause the disease process to actually accelerate, which is a major issue for women. So paradox for B6, we use the methylated P5P in all our formulations. The difference is 400 a kilo opposed to 85. And for methylcobalamin at B12, that's the natural form that's methylated, comes from a thionide. Or you could use the one that's sourced from cyanide, which is cyclocobalamin. But cyclocobalamin does not occur naturally in nature. So it needs to convert to methylcobalamin to be delivered to the cells. Our melatonin, completely different. USP, pharmaceutical grade, $1,200 a kilo, opposed to less than $200 from China. The flow agents, we'll go into the next slide and show the reason why, is what they use to put the material into capsules. And you'll see it everywhere. And normally it wouldn't cause an issue if you have one or two capsules. But if you take supplements like I take supplements, you're taking quite a bit. And it's the bioaccumulation of toxins is the issue that build up in the body. Not the one, it's the last straw. That's what we're concerned. That's the point we're at now, that you're building upon this, and it's creating the disease process to accelerate. Just like the wolves, others are in the wing. Because we know that diabetes, how that leads to Alzheimer's and dementia. We know these connections. We hear it. If you listen to the news, sometimes you'll get a bit of truth. So we use ascorbyl palmitate, and that's a fat-soluble vitamin C. And so we pay for that $40 a kilo, less than $5.50 for using magnesium stearate or stearic acid. But the difference is stearic acid and magnesium stearate can collapse the T cells in your immune defense within the brain. That's a big problem, and why people have an aversion to it. There's several studies that back up what we're saying. And also, our amino acids, we'll go into a few slides just to give you an example of what the difference is and how they're processed. We only produce fermented amino acids. And of course, we pay 10 times the cost for these, opposed to chemically extraction amino acids. And going down to the capsules, we use vegetarian capsules. They're 55% more expensive than the gelatin capsules, but there's no animal residue. They're vegetarian. The whole product is vegetarian. And even the cotton that we use, so we don't have breakage, it's organic cotton, and it's USP certified. Here is it. Now the flow agent is replaced. So neurological studies have revealed that MS, or magnesium stearate, collapses the T cell. And so selectively, killing the T cells, reducing the body's immunity. They also have mental health issues. Now we have a product called neurotransmitter support, and we're not going to talk about that tonight. But it's used for treating those with memory disorders, or I take it every morning just to give me that boost for the day. It's quite amazing what it will do. And we've had clinics in Toronto that are using this for those that have mild dementia and even Alzheimer's, where they're using it and they're seeing some success. Prior to taking the magnesium stearate out, everything else remained the same. They would have a reaction. So those that are very sensitive will react quickly. Those, maybe you haven't been exposed to too much, but it's in a lot of the food, it's in supplements, and so these things we have to limit and be aware of what we're taking in because they do cause issues. And so the folic acid, as we say, to NHTF, folate be used, and that is because it prevents tubal pregnancies. It's absorbed directly. We'll go into a chart to show you how the methylation pathway works. And fermented instead of chemical extraction. And here you'll see why we do that. Now, if you take a look at a chemical extraction chart here, you'll see that it uses 3 to 5 enzymes. And it originates from the starting position to create the different amino acids. They start from either a human or animal origin. Human sewage, duck feathers, horse, or human hair. It has the whole full amino acid profile, and this is how they use it. And they create it with chemicals. So the amino acids are derived from chemicals, and the chemical residue may be on the product. This is why the difference 10 times the cost. A fermented extraction uses 30 enzymes it produces because it starts off with sugarcane. And it's allowed the yeast to proliferate, and as it's growing, it develops enzymes. And when the enzymes are developed, that what we call free form, means delivered without having to change into something else in the body. It's taken in as food. And so ours is certified halal, kosher, free form, and no questionable animal products or chemical residue because it's vegetarian. Now, the grading of USP is 3 different levels. This is talking USP, not other grading. It's just USP level. So pharmaceutical grade is the USP pharmaceutical grade is the highest grade. This is what pharma uses when they produce drugs. So it's 97.5 purity or higher, and the standard has to be much, much higher at all levels. Then there's the food grade. Meats, the standard set for human consumption. This is what they fortify food with. And as I was saying, food, if you look at a lot of breads, they're fortified with folic acid. When you see the folic acid, they're talking about not the 5-MHTH folic acid. This is why the bioaccumulation in this. You're eating it, you're taking in supplement, it's accumulating in our diet. And then there's feed grade, which they use for animals. And a lot of the cheaper source vitamins are sourcing from this. And most of the supplements, the raw material suppliers, are getting them from China. 90% are sourced from China. We don't source from China. Chelation study. We're going to talk a bit about chelation study. And have any of you heard or watched the news in the last month or two when that chelation study came on CTV News? And it was talking about how chelation therapy was... Nobody? Okay, let me give you a background on this. What happened is that this Dr. Lamas was born in Cuba, and he's a Harvard-trained cardiologist. One of his patients came in to see him, and the patient says, "Can you tell me, what do you think of chelation therapy?" And he just said right away, "It doesn't work." The patient went away, and he got home and started thinking about it. I really don't have the answer to say that scientifically. So he started to say, well, I'm going to see if I can get a grant to disprove it once and for all. So, of course, pharma seems to be able to get money from the government and grants. They got a $37 million grant to study it, to disprove something that the naturopathic community have known for 20, 30 years that it works. There's 50,000 chelation therapies are used around the world, and but he wanted to disprove it. Interesting how it came out 1,700 Canadian American patients, 50 plus, who had recent heart attacks, 1/3 of them with diabetes, half were on ETA, and the half were vitamin mineral infusion. The chelation group, and here's an interesting finding, 18% would reduce risk of heart attack, stroke, hospitalization for angina, or the need for angina bypass surgery. And those with diabetes, here is the real kicker. 41% reduction in recurrent heart events, and 43% reduction in deaths. And so after these results, it sent shockwaves through the medical community. So they've decided to do a second study for $30 million directly with diabetes patients. It's amazing though. I've created several formulations that I'd love to do clinical studies, one for cancer, one for treating Parkinson's, several, but I can't get funding. This guy, to disprove something, is $37 million. I think the system's rigged. So we're going to talk about, this is Claw. We've developed an oral chelation formula, and it's Claw, and it has EDTA. And you'll see we use USP pharmaceutical grade material. And so we designed it to help the body to rid toxins from the system. And if you look here, we can see that there's several claims. We can't go into a lot of the claims due to our Health Canada claim for the product, but it's what I've known from clinical practice when I used to use this. It's a vasodilator, so it expands the blood vessels, increasing circulation to the extremities. And if I've noticed some that before they take it, they have a hard time to walk up a couple flights of stairs. It's out of breath. After being on this for 3 months, they're walking up a flight of stairs and they're not out of breath. They feel better. They start feeling less depressed as the heavy metals start coming out of their system. And it helps to, it's one helping factor to deal with the accumulation of toxins. The ingredients that we have in here is EDTA, so it helps to remove the plaque from the arterial walls. Arginine benefits the heart. Hawthorne, it helps for ischemic heart disease. Pantothenic acid for high cholesterol. The glucolipids removes arterial plaque. Now this is big because arterial plaque is being caused by inorganic calcium plaquing our arteries, causing us to have atherosclerosis, which causing heart attack, which is the #1 killer. So we even find there was just a recent study on the calcium that's being used. Medical doctors for years have been recommending women take 12 to 1,500 milligrams of calcium per day. And what does that has resulted in? That they're getting an accumulation of calcium within their bloodstream and on their arteries, so they have calcium in their blood. Doing exactly something to prevent them from having this, they're having this, and giving them heart attacks, strokes, and this nature. So magnesium is in here too, so cardiovascular disease. Potassium lowers blood pressure. The folate, methylated folate. This helps to lower the levels of homocysteine associated with heart disease. It's the homocysteine levels, when they rise, the disease begins. Selenium, low levels leads to heart failure. K2, it is very interesting. We put K2 in this product and we put it into our Optical Mag, that I'll show you next. But it helps to lower the blood clotting, so it helps with prevent blood clotting, reduces inflammation, and dislodges inorganic calcium. It's very interesting because it reabsorbs it into usable calcium the body can use. That's the K2. And the one we use is the MK7, which is we get it from a boutique manufacturer in Europe. 99.7% pure MK7. It's just a beautiful product. I know you maybe don't talk about things, but to me these are my kids. I designed these, and every component that goes into it, I'm very, very careful of what goes into our formulations. And the B12 helps create new blood cells. Now chelation Okay, I'll take this. Well, you take questions at the end, but I'll go ahead.
On the previous slide, did I misunderstand you? You said that there was something that got rid of heavy metals, like you would get rid of heavy metals?
This is what this is for.
And it'll get rid of the heavy metals?
That's what chelation therapy does. It deals with, like I say, we can't make those claims for Health Canada. We know what EDTA does. We know what these ingredients do. According to what the ingredients can do, and when combined, these are the results you get. You can get a blood test for heavy metals first before you try it, and take it later, and you'll see a drastic reduction. Claw has been designed as a treatment, not as a supplement you take continually. It's taken over a period of time depending on your age. Those 40 would take 4 bottles, 4 months. You take it 3 capsules twice a day, and you take it for 4 months. And normally it would be enough to see the results. Depending on the work one does. If you're working in an industrial place or you are working with recycling business or working with batteries and this nature where you're coming into lead, cadmium, these other natures, that can cause some major issues. The big cause, of course, is one of the causes of arthritis. So it's taking for 3 a day, 3 twice a day, say breakfast and dinner. And so if you're 60, you take 6. It's the same as you're taking the drip form of chelation. You would take that over an extended period of time. You go once a week into the doctor's office, have the EDTA drip into your arm, and you come back once a month. And at a separate time, you'd have to replace your minerals, because it not only takes the good, it takes the inorganic minerals too. And so this is why we recommend it be combined with our OptiCal-Mag with K2. It's created to go together, and you do not have what we call the healing crisis. If you do not have that, you'll start feeling your teeth will hurt, the joints will hurt, and it won't be a pleasant experience. And to go with combination, but do not take them at the same time. They have to be 4 hours spaced apart. OptiCal with claw, 2 twice a day, but at 4-hour intervals from claw, or the claw will chelate the minerals from your body. But the important part is to drink a lot of water, at least 2 liters of water a day to help flush the body from the system. Now there are treatments out there that have chelation, and they use EDTA, and they use a lot of it. Some of them have 500 milligrams per capsule of EDTA. And this is why if you do any research, you'll see oral chelation does not work. And I agree, it does not work that way, because that's not the way our bodies were designed. What it does is it dislodges the heavy metals, or it dislodges the inorganic calcium, and then it compounds it for the liver or the pancreas. It shuts down your bladder, it shuts down everything. That's why you have side effects. But this is why we use 26 milligrams per capsule, low dose, just to release it from the cells. When it releases from the longboats, if you have it, the half-life for lead is over 25 years stored in the body. It's not something you can just flush out instantly. So it has to be systematically done, and that's why all the ingredients are managers with the EDTA to take it safely from the body, and the water will flush it out.